That's fine. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Happy Thursday, y'all. It is great to be with you on a Thursday morning. Hope your week is going well as we steam towards another stellar conclusion. I am Rob Brown. Lonzo is here as well. We'll say hey to him because your boy is irresponsible.
You, not me.
Yes, me. Your boy Rob is irresponsible and forgot his headphones over in the office. Lonzo, of course, being the stellar coworker that he is, going to grab them for me. So he will join us here in just mere seconds from right now. But what a show we have lined up for you. Thank you. Great one. It is greatly appreciated by both me, I'm sure, and the listening audience. How you doing, Lonzo? Well,
I'm well. Thank you for helping me get my steps in.
Of course.
Appreciate you always looking out that way.
Yeah, man. I just want everybody to be healthy. And if a few extra steps a day is the difference, then I am happy to provide. And also, I am forgetful. It is what it is. Guys, we got a great show lined up for you on the radio broadcast today. I will begin by telling you that Rashad Beard will join us tomorrow. Ordinarily, he joins us today, but he is just getting back from a business trip today. So Rashad will join the program tomorrow, and we'll get his thoughts on all of the recent developments from the Carolina Panthers as we head toward the draft 2 weeks from today in Kansas City. We will have the 2023 NFL Draft. The Carolina Panthers are technically on the clock, and later on in the show, conspiracy theory that your boy fell into yesterday.
Hey, before that, did you know that you and I and that other show are going to be live
on draft day?
On draft day.
Sure did.
We are.
From 9 till noon, the Rob Brown Show, and then from noon until 4, noon to 3, Jim Rome, he won't be there. But then at 4, Mark Ryan will take over. At 3, what is happening to me today?
All right, we're going to be at Twin Peaks, which I've never been to, by the way. And so we're going to be there 9 to noon. It will not be open until 11, but at 11 o'clock, you guys can be waiting at the door to come in to hang out with me and Rob. And then from 3 to 7, Diesel and Mark, that's his name, will be there.
Turns out that is his name.
Yeah, it's a name I should remember.
So you're cleared to come out and play with us? They're
yes.
letting you out of the box?
Yes, I went and cleared. I think it came down to Rob going, "Are you sure you want to go there?" Which of course makes me want to go there. I mean, so it's and you should go there too. I want to try the food. I've never been. I want to try the food. I hear the food's pretty good. So, and a chance for you to come out and hang out with us, which you guys always show up whenever we're out there, and it's right around lunchtime. I'm sure Rob and I will hang around after the show, have some food, and Rob will talk to you, and I'll just wave.
Lonzo will hug you if you want it.
Not happening.
He will. Big hug life.
Especially, I think they have like ribs there. Did I hear that correctly?
I believe that they do.
Yeah. So no sauce on my fan shirt. I only get to wear it like once a year. So I mean, you know.
Are you wearing the khakis?
No, I'm not.
We will be live draft day Thursday at Twin Peaks, right down the road from the station, as a matter of fact.
A bunch more details coming about the appearance. There's going to be other people there and things like that, and we're going to be able to tell you as we get closer.
Yes, indeed. So make your plans now. Draft day Thursday is 2 weeks from today. We will be there live from 9 to noon. Doors open at 11, so you'll be able to come hang out with us. And, by the way, we get off the air at noon, and then guess what I've got to do for the next 3 hours? Nothing. Sit there and talk draft with you guys.
So
that's it.
I'm gonna have to go out and buy that shirt that we talked about before the possible last appearance. The compression shirt. I'm gonna have to head out this weekend after Comic-Con on my way back. And and drop by a sporting goods store and find something to hopefully find a person around. Excuse me, ma'am, can you help me?
We call them offensive lineman shirts. Keep the old belly tucked.
That's not what I need tucked, though, which we've discussed before and made it all the way around the building.
Yeah,
so, which I
for
mean,
about 2 days, I had people coming up to me in the building going, "What's that about Lonzo's nipples?" So,
yeah,
the reach of the Rob Brown Show.
No, thank you, Steven. By the way, on the stream. By the way, you can watch us live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Search the Fan Upstate or the Rob Brown Show, and you'll find them everywhere. Yes, 2 Thursdays. Well, I guess 2 weeks from today, the Rob Brown Show will be live at Twin Peaks. We will be on the air from 9 to noon. The restaurant opens at 11. So if you're planning on coming by, as the texter who just said, I will make a 9 a.m. appearance for a beer, make it 11 a.m. appearance for a beer. All right? Come on by at 11. Hang out with us for the last hour of the show.
I don't know.
And then when we are done.
Do they have windows?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. They got a whole outdoor patio.
So you guys could just line up at the windows.
Yeah,
and just
stare in.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be awesome.
I suspect if enough of you guys show up at 9, they'll go ahead and open
up. I don't know. We'll see. I hope they leave you out there and you are staring in the windows with your hands, and it's like, I want to come in with you guys.
Like the world's lamest horror movie.
I don't know. Depends on what some of the people look like. You never know.
Fair enough.
If Kevin shows up, we might be frightened.
Fair enough. All right. So 2 weeks from today, Texture said, can we tailgate in the parking lot? I'm going to go ahead and give you permission. I'm going to say yes. Without asking, I'm going to say yes. You may all tailgate the Rob Brown Show 2 weeks from today. Go tailgate the parking lot, and when the doors open, rush it like you got to get a front row seat.
But in tailgating, don't make food out there because there's food inside where we're going to be. So save your appetites for the food that's on the inside. But if you want to bring something to drink, like an ice cold water or something like that, or whatever you drink, then probably
ice cold. Yes, come out tailgate with an ice cold water.
It's probably going to be warm outside. Staying hydrated is very important.
Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not going to give you a shoulder rub or anything, but I can come over and give you a nice hard pat on the back and consider it a reset.
I have not been home before 10:40-ish this week.
There comes a time where you go, is the extra income worth the damage that you're doing to your body?
I had this conversation yesterday with the fiance. I was going to say lady friend. I'll stick with that.
She could still be your friend and your fiance.
She is. I had this conversation last night, and I want you guys to know that while it's all well and good, I'm not working with now officially every professional sports team in this town. With the Burns Rebels, one of the most successful high school football programs in the state, with Furman, with SC Upstate, etc. I am doing that because I truly, genuinely believe that we have one of the best sports communities in the United States of America. I have worked in multiple towns and cities, either living there or from a distance. I have been around plenty of professional teams, plenty of college teams, plenty of high school programs. But I mean it when I say it, that I think the Upstate is very special with its sports community. I think that we have teams that are invested in the community in ways that a lot of other teams do not and are not. I think we have fans that are invested in the community in the ways that fans in many other communities are not. I think we have success in this community that many other communities do not regarding sports in said community. And I very much feel both a responsibility and just a flat out desire to be as connected, involved, and ingrained in the local sports scene as I possibly can. It is why I am not only at Swamp Rabbits games, working to make sure that those games are as entertaining as they can be. But it is why we have Andrew Lord on the show. It's why we have players on the show. It's why we talk Rabbits hockey. I am not only at Drive games working them as the on-field MC because I love baseball and the Drive and want to make those games as entertaining as I can. And if that is something I can bring to the table, I will. They'll remind me here in just a second to tell you something absolutely hilarious that happened yesterday, though. But because I want to see that team have success. That is why, starting next week, once a week, we'll be having various Drive players and the manager, Iggy Suarez, joining us on the show weekly to catch up with where the Drive are this season as they, with a win yesterday over the Asheville Tourist, improved to 2-2 and remain undefeated at the house. I am not only involved with the Greenville Triumph, I'll be sitting down either tomorrow or early next week to cut another podcast with John Harks. You'll be able to hear parts of here on the show. But because I want the Triumph to succeed and I want those games to be as entertaining as possible. So I'm pitched in. We have an incredible sports community here in the upstate. And I'm not working with all of them just because it's fun. It is. But because I feel a responsibility and an obligation to use the talent that I have to help make their games as entertaining as possible and to make them as accessible to you guys as I possibly can, because that's what makes this community so damn special. That being said, Zoe, quick story, and then we'll get into some sports. Tuesday was opening day for the Greenville Drive. And Alex Guest, who used to intern here,
enjoyed him while he was here.
Good guy.
I mean, I will make fun of some of the interns. I'll never make fun of Alex. Alex is a cool dude.
Oh, yeah. Good guy. He is the one that is responsible for the entertainment at the games. So he's like, hey, we want you to work opening day. I said, absolutely. He said, do you mind introducing the whole roster, the coaching staff, and the starting lineup for the day? Now, introducing the starting lineup at a baseball game is kind of an honor. I'm like, hell yeah, got that. So because it was opening day, they decided Lonzo to do something a little special. They laid down a red carpet. They brought season ticket holders down on the field. They had the entire roster make its way on the red carpet from the right field bullpen to the first base line. Player by player, with each player getting fireworks out of the gate. So they bring me out on the field, hand me a mic. They're like, all right, go ahead and introduce. I'm like, all right, starting with your reserve pitchers. Wearing number 3, Blaze Jordan, which, by the way, is the name of a player on the team, is Blaze Jordan.
Which is awesome.
That's a great name. So yesterday I get to the game, and I'm standing by the stairs that go up to the press box, which is where I'm based out of. Alex is on the other side of the stairs, about 10 feet away from me. This is about 20 minutes before first pitch. So the fans are in floor field, and one of them walks over to Alex, does not see me there, and says to Alex, hey, I don't know what you guys are doing, but that guy you had introduced the team yesterday is completely inappropriate and needs to go. And I'm like, oh, ooh, spicy. Why? Alice goes, oh, why is that? And he goes, because this is baseball, not the WWE. It was too intense. Alice goes, yeah, well, the owner likes him, so he's not going anywhere. Ba-pow! I'm a little too WWE for baseball.
So what you were asked to do, you actually did it so effectively that someone knew that's the style that you were doing it.
Correct. That is absolutely correct.
And the only one who could recognize that would be someone who's watched or is possibly a fan of the WWE. I'm just saying, possibly.
I got hit with he's too WWE for baseball. Okay. I mean, your loss. But we nailed it.
That also speaks to some of the things that might be wrong with baseball. I mean,
Well, speaking of things that are wrong
you
with
want
baseball,
the kids out, don't you? I mean,
Speaking of things that are wrong with baseball, coming up later on in the show, I have a thing. I am a hopeless romantic for the game of baseball. Until baseball does something dumb. And they did earlier this week. I'm going to talk about that later on in the show. The AP has put out their first consensus mock draft, polled all of their beat writers, put together a mock. Who do they have the Cats taking number 1 overall? I will tell you that coming up later in the show, as well as what Albert Breer chimed in to say that the Panthers are thinking and saying about their first overall quarterback selection. We're going to get into that later on. At 11:20, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Time for Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo. We'll be talking a little professional wrestling, and I suspect Lonzo's going to bring up boxing just to aggravate me today, but we will find out.
I suspect I will. Also,
Yeah, so.
A little bit of talk about the UFC pay-per-view last weekend.
Yep. We'll get into all that at 11:20 for Fight Club with the great one. Masters ratings are out. We're going to talk about that later on. The NFL continues to screw you out of money. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But when we come back, about once a week, I find myself in a spot where I openly complain to you all about sports media. And yesterday, we hit an all-time moment of aggravation for one Rob Brown. And it comes from one of my favorite shows in the game right now. I want to see how you guys feel about it, how it impacts you as fans of sports media. We'll do that when we come back. Then some Panthers talk. And the transfer portal burns a school. Bad. All that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
It's new. I didn't recognize it.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
It didn't sound. I mean, it made me think that it was from the network, and yeah. So now I know, and it exists. Forgot to mention the lady at the dollar store wanted to take a picture, and it held up the line of people because I was checking out. So the person who doesn't want attention held up the line at the dollar store, which could end up violent. You don't want to do that at the dollar store. You don't want to hold up the line at the dollar store. Luckily, I was the biggest guy in the place at the moment. So.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Thank you, Stephen. When I got out of the closet, it was wrinkled, and I'm like, you know what? It fits. It's okay if it fits that the shirt is wrinkled. I didn't mean it fits. Wow,
Yeah,
this still fits.
Well,
I mean,
your shirt.
it's fitting that it's wrinkled with what it says on the front. Like you only pull it out when you feel the exact opposite.
The library on my thing, but I got sound coming up here, like 5 clips.
Yeah, I got them. Somebody appears to be disorganized this morning. It ain't me.
Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now, or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. GetRefunds.com. GetRefunds.com.
FC Comic-Con is back and bigger than ever. April 15th and 16th at the Greenville Convention Center. Featuring artists and stars like Kevin Eastman, creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Ranger, Johnny Young Boss, and Emily Swallow, the Armorer, and Mandalorian. Tons of vendors with thousands of comics, games, and toys. It's a weekend of fun. Tickets are $25 Saturday, $20 Sunday, and only $35 for the entire weekend. Kids swimming under a free with a paid adult. For more details, go to fccomiccon.com or find us on Facebook.
Running a small business is no small task. At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future. Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htb.com. Member FDIC.
Baseball is back. The free Odyssey app lets you listen to local coverage for the team you love, live stream your favorite sports radio station, or jump back and listen to the best segments on demand.
Don't forget we talk to the manager every Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Don't listen to some guy from the other side of the country tell you about your team. Live conversations for your local team, no matter where you are. Your season, your Odyssey. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today.
Sponsored by Taco Bell.
I agree, Trey. And, the other thing is, it's weird because, I know I'm in radio and have been forever, but seeing someone doing TV, this is weird and cool. It's like, I know that guy. Thank you, Steven. I was waiting for someone to notice. I have to figure out how thick to write things to where it shows up.
The red works.
So I will say that, some of us, 1%ers, have, handheld notepads. And, the rest of us have the notepad for pores.
Sports media is important to me. I think that's relatively obvious. And there is a very fine line between, to me, providing a valuable service and recognizing that more than anything else, that service is entertainment. Because what we talk about on the show, in the grand scheme of the universe, is largely unimportant. But it is important to us, right? If it wasn't important to us, we wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't be listening. So therefore, it drives me crazy when people pop onto the radio and say silly things for attention. There's plenty of stuff that is important to talk about, good to talk about, that can enrich sports media, as opposed to people who get on and make stuff up or exaggerate stuff for the sake of entertainment. Because to me, and again, it's personal perspective, to me, I think sports is entertaining enough without having to go be ridiculous. Now, that's not to say you can't be over the top, larger than life, loud, and still be compelling and talk about important stuff in the world of sports, which is why Rob Brown is a big fan of, as are many of us, the Pat McAfee show. I have said many times, the reason I love Pat McAfee is because Pat McAfee is doing what Rob Brown has been wanting to do for many years at the level that he wants to do it. McAfee's pod is what my show would be with unlimited resources, right? We would have an old basketball gym. We'd be having fun, goofing off, but talking about stuff that's important. And I think by and large, though, Pat McAfee is a guy who talks about stuff that is relevant and important that is not ridiculous and over the top, but does so in a way that's wildly compelling and entertaining.
You know, he is what some management types told me would never work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and, you know, that's the kind of show I've always wanted to
Yeah.
do too. Maybe a little less cursing, but, you know, that's just me.
To each their own.
In that gym, we need street hockey and also at least some stand-up video game cabinets.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I have also been told, though, that'll never catch on. It'll never work. And it's like, okay, if somebody would have tossed me the resources earlier in my career, we could have been there. But it is what it is.
Because you know what it is? Guys, especially, like seeing guys who are like them talk about things the way they talk about it. You don't have to have that, and not that we don't. All right, Rob's better than mine. Professional radio voices.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Okay, so that being said, I think Pat, who I adore, who I respect, made a mistake. Pac-Man Jones. Y'all remember Pac-Man? Ain't no saying go to the script club Jones. Pat brought Pac-Man on as a character on the show. Pac-Man is doing his best to try to break into the media broadcasting world. Now, I don't have a problem with former players getting into the game. I do have a problem with former players getting into the game when they're bad at it, just for the sake of having a player in the game. Because there's a lot of talented people who have much better insight into the game, who get bumped for a guy like Pac-Man. Why is Rob beating up on Pac-Man? Well, I'm going to walk you through a conversation and about 6 different clips that took place on the show yesterday. I'm going to start with clip number 3. The McAfee show is going division by division and talking about the draft and the impact that it's going to have on next year. And yesterday, they started with the NFC South. And it opened with McAfee and his producers having a conversation about Atlanta and Carolina. Pretty good conversation out of the gate.
And then if Carolina goes and they do hit on whoever is the number 1 overall pick, and there is just this new young stud in that division, like that changes the whole future for Atlanta, really, just because, okay, Ritter didn't work, so maybe they are, you know, still competitive to Ty's point, like 17-9 games. They're going to win ball games. They're not going to be at one of those top spots and have a top 10 pick like they do this year. So
pretty good start. Then they bring in Pac-Man Jones, and Pac-Man gives his thoughts on Atlanta and Carolina as well. Clip 3A is Pac-Man's first interjection into the show.
Ritter might be a guy.
yeah, definitely could be.
But I think the things that they did on defense showing that they're going to be top of this division. They went and got Jesse Bates that they spent a whole lot of money on. They just went and got this kid here. They got A.J. Terrell. And then the front end, they got some dogs.
Yeah.
Got Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
Just signed.
Tampa Bay, okay. Carolina, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Pac-Man's pretty impressed with Atlanta's offseason. He's okay on Tampa and Carolina. All right, fine start. Disagree, but fine start. Then they decide to flip to the Saints. Now, yes, it is about my team, but I want you to stick with me, even though you're going, of course, I was thinking about the Saints. I'm not, and I'll tell you why. McAfee, clip 3B, goes into what is the biggest conversation about the Saints right now, that is offensively, what Derek Carr can do as the quarterback.
Saints, who the hell know what this guy going to do? We don't even know what the Saints are going to be.
Derek Carr?
Yeah, that guy right there.
Oh, Derek.
Derek's an okay player. We know what happened.
How much did he get?
100 million, 60 million guaranteed.
60 guaranteed.
Think about that.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about
In comparison to Jimmy G, too.
in comparison to Lamar.
Yes.
Just the conversations that are happening about Lamar. Derek could go win though.
Yeah, Michael Thomas plays too again. Like if he
Kamara, Taysom Hill's still in there.
Olave.
They got a defense. Saints have a good defense, right?
Okay. No problem so far, right? It's absolutely fair to say that despite the fact that Derek Carr is about to go into the Hall of Fame in his first season in New Orleans.
Is he? I mean, is he playing?
Kamara, tomato.
No. Is he still playing?
As of today, yes.
Yeah, because
but we'll see.
Yeah, he could be somewhere else, like for a while, right?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
But the point is the conversation's fair so far, right? There's questions about Derek Carr. That's fair. They also bring up the fact that New Orleans has got some skill players. If Mike Thomas comes back healthy, Chris Olave had a great rookie year.
Not hearing anything negative yet. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm guessing it's coming, I suppose.
Nothing wrong with the conversation. And then McAfee says, let's talk about the Saints defense for just a minute. And I think that is very fair. Here's Pat setting up the conversation about the Saints defense.
Saints have a good defense, right?
Yeah. They all right.
Yeah, Honey Badger.
Right. Yeah.
Cam.
Lattimore.
They got dogs in
Mario Davis.
Saints have a good defense.
Yeah, they do.
Saints have a good defense. Is it world beating? No. Is it bottom of the league? Not even close.
I was going to say, do they though? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, okay. The offenses in the NFC South were not very good last year.
I don't disagree.
Which would make any defense, including the Carolina Panthers defense, look a little bit better because the offenses were so bad.
I don't disagree. However, there are other bad divisions too, and the Saints had the 9th ranked defense overall in the NFL last year. 9th ranked. Now they are I'm not even going to argue. They're getting older. Demario Davis is up there. Cam Jordan's not the same guy.
This is one, I've heard it said a bunch of times that stats don't lie. They do in this case. They absolutely do. Because if you're playing against inferior offenses, it's going to bump up your stats and make you look better.
There are 11 games that they played not against the NFC South.
What was the West? What was the other division they played against?
I don't remember. But the
was
Saints
was it like
year,
the AFC South or something?
The Saints last year at the end of the year, if I recall correctly, had like the 11th or 12th most difficult schedule in the NFL based on end of season records, right? It wasn't bad at all. Top 10 defense. If I told you right now Carolina had a top 10 defense next year, even in the South, you'd be happy with it, right? So we're good so far. I got no problem with saying the Saints defense is good, but there's questions about it too. And then Pac-Man decides, let me go ahead and be very wrong. Let me be very wrong, very publicly, and this is where it gets off the rails.
Yeah, right, bro. The Saints corners suck. They gave up more yards than any NFL team this year. I don't know what y'all talking about, man. Have y'all seen the Saints? Have y'all forgot?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just thinking Cam
on the back end.
Cam is on TV.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He's great.
He was at the Pro Bowl giving great interviews. Demario Davis, he's a dog.
Perennial Pro Bowler.
Absolute stud.
Okay. Now, here's why it went off the rails. Pac-Man says the Saints cornerbacks bleeping suck. They gave up more yards than anybody else in the NFL last year. Lonzo, you know how many teams gave up more yards from the cornerback position than the New Orleans Saints? 30 of them. The Saints cornerbacks were the number 2 cornerback unit in the NFL last year. And my man just said they gave up more yards than anybody else in the NFL. No, they did not. In fact, they gave up fewer yards than every other team in the NFL with the exception of one.
Yeah,
you're wrong and bad at it.
I took him just from his tone, and I've watched him on that show of him. He was being sarcastic. I don't think he was trying to be accurate. I think he was trying to do this trolling thing where he knew that somewhere out there, some Saints fans would get really upset. And I think it might've worked.
That's bad. That's bad. I mean, granted, I guess you're right in that I'm talking about Pac-Man Jones right now, but this is
you consider this talking? No, you're passionate and you're upset.
It feels like weekly plea to please stop. And I know that I'm breaking it, but please stop giving these people attention. Because here's the thing.
You're giving
me giving them attention.
Right now.
You are correct.
Yeah,
I'm giving them attention. I absolutely am.
This is an award-winning program, so you're giving them even more credence. Not like they needed that.
Correct. What I'm saying is, when you see and hear stuff like this, just move on. Because here's the reality. Here's the thing. If I talk about Pac-Man or don't talk about Pac-Man today, if I may be brutally honest with myself and you, it's irrelevant. This clip's everywhere, right? This clip's everywhere. And the point that I'm making is when you see stuff like this, don't retweet it. Don't quote tweet it. Unfollow stuff like this. And I'm bummed because it's McAfee and I expect better. But it got worse. Last clip. Pac-Man Jones straight up lies at the end of his piece. Here's the last thing he said.
You said they gave him more yards than anybody in the NFL?
They was allowing like 330 last year a game.
What's that all about? They weren't. What do you think that's all? What's that all about? We didn't talk about the Saints last year.
It was 7-on-7 with the Saints last year.
Pac-Man. Hey, Lonzo, you know how many quarterbacks got to 300 yards last year against the Saints? 0. Not a quarterback threw for 300 yards last year. So Pac-Man says they were giving up like 330 a game last year. The closest anybody got was the second game against Tampa when Brady went for 274. Now, I'm bad at math, but last I checked, 274 is less than 300. It is almost 60 less than the 330 that Pac-Man claims the Saints were giving up.
It was averaging up, which is what most people do. So that's,
From
it's
274
it's
at the best.
By the way, it's closer to 300 than it is 200. So yeah, I get where he's going there.
This kind of crap drives me up a wall. Look, if you want to ask questions about the Saints, do it. And I'll have the debate with you. Let's do it.
See, when he said all that stuff, I didn't know if it was accurate or not because, and I hate to say this, but I don't care about the Saints. And I know you do. And because it's your team, I mean, I wish it was football season tomorrow because you're ready to go, man. And we got a few months before they're back in camp and everything. And
I am not ready to go because he insulted my team. My team sucks, and I will acknowledge that.
I'm waiting for him to mention that bad call, and that would have taken.
And we got screwed out of the Super Bowl by the refs against the Rams.
I'm surprised.
My team's bad, and I don't know if Derek Carr's the answer. All of that was fine. I had no problem with what he said about Derek Carr. None at all. We got questions about DC and New Orleans, just like everybody else. Things went okay in Vegas until they came off the tracks last year. It's fine. But when you go on and you either A, don't know what the hell you're talking about, or B, are just straight up lying, because those are the only two options, right? Either A, he doesn't know what he's talking about and he's just talking to try to get on TV. Or B, he is lying, which, why? Well, this kind of crap is what makes it not fun.
See, I guess I don't hear what you hear. What I hear is some guy trolling the Saints. That's what I hear. And what you're expecting is lying journalistic integrity from a guy who didn't play with integrity.
No, absolutely not. I just said, if you want to ask questions and have a conversation about them, let's do it. That's what we do on this show all the time. There is a difference between trolling and just lying about something that literally takes a second to Google to prove you're wrong about.
If I recall, he said like before. It was like this, like that. And, like allows for, exaggeration or to be off a little bit.
Okay. I make like $1 million a year. Pretty close, right?
That's awesome.
I just rounded up a little.
I was wondering why you dress so well.
Because I make $1 billion a year. No, trolling is an art. Pac-Man is not trolling. He's either dumb or a liar. One or the other.
Or he's trolling people like Rob Brown.
No,
I just,
this is not trolling. It's dumb.
Is
and
it
it's
possible
bad.
that you are clouded by your fandom and you don't see something?
Lonzo, if I said Sam Darnold threw for 300 yards a game and then you said, no, he didn't. And I went, I'm just rounding up and trolling. That's dumb.
I would laugh.
That's dumb.
Although if you tell someone you're trolling, then it takes away from the troll. I mean, it's not as funny then.
Dumb. Those 60 yards of difference would have moved the Saints from the second best in the league to like 29th.
When you started the segment, you said you were going to be critical of sports media. And so I thought finally Rob has come around and he's going to see the things that I see and the things that I say. And it's going to be awesome. We're going to be unity in this room as one. And you're just mad about Pac-Man Jones. I mean, it's just just Pac-Man. I mean, you know.
Listen, there is room to be highly entertaining in this game. McAfee is literally the model for that right now, right? There's a reason McAfee's on Game Day and WWE, and he's got the most listened to sports podcast in America. And you know what you don't have Pat McAfee doing? Lying or being dumb.
Perhaps you should either boycott or cancel Pat McAfee because Pac-Man's on there and he has an opinion that you don't agree with.
It's not an opinion. Lonzo, I don't get to say your shirt's red. That's my opinion. No, you're wrong.
You could be colorblind. I don't know.
No, I would still be wrong. Even if I was colorblind, that would mean I don't have the information to make a statement true, and I am asserting it as fact. You're a bad person.
If you were colorblind and you thought my shirt was red and you said my shirt was red, it would be insensitive of me to point out, no, Rob, you're wrong. It's not red.
No. Telling someone you are factually wrong is not mean, and we should do more about it. People don't get to say a thing as a truth that is wrong, and then you go, no, you're wrong. No, it's my important. Not every opinion has to be respected. Some opinions are dumb and bad and wrong, and they should be called that.
Maybe I've watched that show more than you have because the entire rest of the group, they got this sarcastic tone that they always do when they're messing around. Pat and the other guys, they all got that tone, and they do that when they mess around. I think you're taking it too serious.
No, I don't.
I think you are.
Listen, if you think I'm too dumb to recognize sarcasm, then I take that. That's fine.
Pac-Man. You don't listen to tone. You don't listen to. You talk for a living. I listen for a living. So, I mean, you know, I get to talk some too, which is cool. But I think you've heard me mention about tones many times, including your tone sometimes. I think tones tell an audience what you're doing. And their tones changed. They went to that sarcastic place they always go to when they go, what? And all that kind of, they went to that tone. They didn't go to their serious tone as if either he was trolling or none of them believed him either, and they were having fun with it, and they were egging him on.
None of them believed him because he's wrong, and it was a stupid-ass take. It was a dumb take. And, Pat, again, that take right there should disqualify from me ever having to hear from that guy again.
All right, so
I get you trying to defend Pat.
I'm not.
Like Pat.
The thing is,
this was dumb.
I mean, if I got upset the way you get upset, I would have had to block Kevin because all he does is talk stuff about Kansas City every single day.
Right. You know what he does? But you know what
inaccurate
he
stuff.
He doesn't come in here and go, Patrick Mahomes threw for like 10 yards a game last year. Basically, that's just like my opinion, man. Because you would go, that's dumb and bad and wrong.
Hudson, are you saying he's a peacock? I don't know if that's what you're saying or not.
Let me get away from this because none of y'all care. I get it. It's a me thing, not a you thing.
But you know, this me thing is on your show, so it can be
You're
a you thing all you want.
You're
I mean,
damn
that's
right.
fine.
And now that you all suffered through my thing, let's take a break and come back with something totally different, shall we? I don't know what that thing is yet. I'm too mad to pick a next topic.
We're going to come back and talk stats because the stats were wrong, Pac-Man. You don't even know. You didn't play
Do you
football.
understand how big? Never mind. I've just.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. I would say that your statement is accurate, Steven.
I feel like this country has lost the definition of opinion versus fact.
No, you could have just cut off that this country is lost.
No, it's not. This country is fine. We have this thing where everybody's opinion is the country is being ruined when the other team's in charge. And it's dumb and it's bad. We have gotten through everything that's been thrown at us. We will this as well. But there is a difference between my opinion is when your opinion is wrong. Objectively, empirically, provably wrong.
No, Trey, he's not. He's his own thing.
With a visit to the nation's leader in joint pain relief. That's QC Kinetics. Yeah, they are way ahead of the curve in this pain treatment business. QC Kinetics says no to
The question is it a work? Is it not? If it's not a work, hopefully his mom calls him and calms him down. I don't know. Meanwhile, there's a video on my Twitter feed of a snake going up the stair rail. And it's like a 20-foot long snake. No, thank you. Why is this stuff on my feed? I don't want to see that.
No more slogging through invoices or getting surprised by unexpected charges. Just your business's big idea with smart spend controls, automation that crushes busy work, and insights so you can make it happen.
Yes, we do, Stephen.
Ramp completely reimagined finance to make it work for your business. Get set up, issue corporate cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes. See how Ramp does finance. Join today and get $250 just for signing up.
Look at all the Pac-Man stuff that's showing up on my Twitter feed.
Ramp.com/offer to get $250 for signing up. That's ramp.com/offer.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis or candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Nothing with me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new thing. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. With Skyrizi, you can achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic.
This question is for the stream. Would you capitalize meltdown for emphasis? Just curious.
Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.
Oh, we're getting some pressure.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest.
It's award season.
Every piece of land has a story. For the Caggianos, it's moving their yard pristine with a John Deere C530MC track mower because it's not just a yard, it's a gathering.
Yeah, I talked about that on the Charlie James show a couple last week, rather. I'm pointing out that no, the changing of the ball and all that kind of stuff had nothing to do with it. It's the atmosphere.
From the Ingalls Market Studio,
Upstate, 97.7 FM Green. 97.1 FM Smart.
I have now been to 2 professional baseball games where the pitch clock is in action. Both of them minor league games with the Greenville Drive Tuesday and Wednesday. And I can tell you that I'm a fan now. Okay? It's won me over. I have changed my opinion. The pitch clock is a good thing. The games have no drag anymore. Even in minor league games in the past, games have dragged. There have been a lot of time where guys are stepping out of the box and adjusting batting gloves and other pieces of equipment. They're walking from second back to first. There's all these things that have effectively been cut out of the game. The ball gets back to the pitcher. He's got 14 seconds to get set, get on the rubber, and begin his pitching motion. It's been great. And the games have been shortened up at the MLB level by roughly half an hour. And as I've mentioned, it's not that there's 30 minutes of less baseball. It's that there's 30 minutes less of baseball players wasting time by doing all this extra stuff. But there is one thing that has been trained, has been changed by the new rules in baseball. And that is that at least 2 MLB teams, and I suspect the rest will follow suit, have gotten rid of my least favorite rule in stadiums. That you can't buy beer after the 7th inning anymore. At least 2 teams, the Diamondbacks, the Twins, apparently the Rangers and the Brewers have now done it since I put this into the show prep, are now allowing fans to purchase beers until the end of the 8th inning. Now, an inning of baseball, especially when a team is red hot with the bats, an inning of baseball can take 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes, which means that when there were 3 innings, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, that I couldn't buy a beer, or at least half of it, that was up to an hour and a half of the end of a game where Rob Brown could not enjoy a little bit of brewski at a professional baseball game where beers are at their best. Major League Baseball is now letting teams go into the 8th inning to stop buying beer. You can now go through the 8th. That's an extra half hour of beers at a stadium. Well done, baseball. There are no negatives to the pitch clock, y'all. Everything is great with the pitch clock. Texas says, what does Pac-Man think about the pitch clock? He probably thinks that it's 30 seconds long and games are an hour longer now, but that's just like his opinion, man. All right, coming up in the next hour of the show, I've got some less dumb things to talk about. I talked to someone yesterday that is in the New Orleans healthcare system. Why? Because video came out pregame before the New Orleans Pelicans were eliminated by the Oklahoma City Thunder last night of Zion Williamson going ham in warmups, including throwing down 2-handed double overhand dunks, driving by defenders and throwing down tomahawks. And I have a question about the philosophy of athletes that I want to ask you guys, because my frustration with that situation is going against the philosophy I've had about professional athletes for a while. And I want to see if y'all fall on the same side. The AP mock draft says the Charlotte
Carolina Panthers.
That team is going to draft one quarterback. ESPN says the other. Final sales pitch. We'll take them from you guys. The Big Ten has a new commissioner. Tells me where the priorities in college football are moving forward. And a baseball player goes through a surgery that I've never heard of before. All connected to baseball. All that more coming up in the next hour of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Om.
You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a license.
I want to say stop shooting and start working, brother, but I'm not going to say that.
Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. Getrefunds.com. Getrefunds.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs I've done. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Golfers, the best upstate deal on golf is back and on sale now. The 2023 Upstate Golf Card gets you a round of golf at 9 premier upstate courses, and it's still only $99. Grab your foursome and get your Upstate Golf Cards now to play courses including the Preserve at Verde, Legacy Pines, Pebble Creek, Greer Golf, Carolina Springs, and more. Order at theupstategolfcard.com. 9 rounds of golf for only $99. Upstategolfcard.com. Upstategolfcard.com.
Seven Dust. Saturday night, May 20th at the Foundry in Jacksonville in downtown Greenville. One night of heavy metal rock from Seven Dust with special guests 7-Year Witch and Black River Rebels. Tickets on sale.
Lonzo sent me, and I know he already addressed this, Marcus, but Lonzo sent me that story the other day, and I started reading through it. But I'm also a huge cynic/skeptic, so I very much want to actually go read the studies that they founded that on, because I'm curious about it. I absolutely believe that is potentially a reality. I'm very intrigued by that. And I wonder, like, did they go stadium by stadium, just overall numbers? Are there some stadiums that are more impacted by others?
An extension before the deadline. Beat the clock and the crowds. Come in and file today. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
Zach is an NFL quarterback. Zach and his girl, they were having a rough period, rough patch. It happens in every relationship, right? You get used to it. So Zach went to hang out with mom. And when he was hanging out with mom was hanging out with a friend. Here's what happened.
So Zach, he went to hang out with old mom. And mom had mom's friend over for a night. I said, mom's friend, she saw Zach was having a tough time. His girlfriend wasn't talking to him. And he's the quarterback of the New York Jets. Things weren't going great for old Zach. So the mom's friend said, hey, why don't you come on over, Zach? I'll offer you some maternal advice. And old Zach thought to himself, yeah.
Yeah. God, I'm dumb. But dumb works.
Search the Fan Upstate. You're in the game. The Fan Upstate.
Now, CBS Sports Radio.
The Fan Upstate. You gotta get in the game on your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone, download the Odyssey app, and search the Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
On your smart speaker, just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
thefanupstate.com.
The Fan
Upstate.
WORD Spartanburg. WFBC HD3 Greenville, the official sports.
James, that might be the tagline of my book.
official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Rob Brown, the Graven Lonzo with you. The Gilstrap Family Dealerships.com phone line is open right now at 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. You can text us. The text line is open for you at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo, one word, at The Fan Upstate. You can also watch the live stream. Come hang out with us on the live stream by going to facebook.com/The Fan Upstate or searching The Fan Upstate on YouTube or Twitter. You can also search The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. If you'd like to hang out with Zoe and I, talk with us behind the scenes, make fun of me to my stupid face, as most of the stream does, come on, jump in. Let's have a little fun. James just hit us with the line of the show. Hey, Rob, dumb can make money. Yeah, I know. That's why I still work here. Let me get to some stuff. And I'll start because I am making this show all about me. I will start.
You know, if your name's on the show is all about you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a thing.
As Jim Carrey in that classic movie, The Mask, once said, somebody stop me. Yesterday evening, by evening, I mean way too damn late at night, the New Orleans Pelicans hosted the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference play-in tournament, game number 1. Now, the winner of that game would have to go to Minnesota and take on the Timberwolves. The winner of that game will go in as the final play-in for final playoff team. The loser of that game last night would see their season come to its conclusion. And, of course, the loser of that game last night was my New Orleans Pelicans. Despite being about a 5.5-point favorite, New Orleans got beat last night because the Thunder had some dudes step up, and we'll talk about that. But I wanted to ask you guys this question. My philosophy on athletes is usually very pro-athlete, right? I think guys should absolutely take care of themselves. I think guys should absolutely look out for themselves. Professional athletics careers, even for the best of the best, are a decade, maybe a decade and a half at the longest. Most of them significantly shorter than that on average. So I got no problem with guys looking out for themselves, taking care of themselves. If Doc says take another 2 weeks to rehab, take another 2 weeks to rehab. But I do have a problem. Zion Williamson has not played since January 2nd. When Zion Williamson left the New Orleans Pelicans, they were number 1/number 2 in the Western Conference of the NBA. For a while, they were the 1 seed. Zion left. The struggle became very real in the Big Easy. And the Pels fell down to hosting the bottom half of the play-in bracket and getting bumped in round 1. Now, Zion had a roughed up hamstring. That was an injury that was expected to take about 3 weeks to heal. It has been 3 months. Last night before the game, Zion was out on the floor. Doing what? Playing basketball. Was going one-on-one with guys, was driving to the rack, was elevating, was dunking with violence, was coming down, landing, setting it up, and doing it again. Before that, on Monday and Tuesday, there was a lot of conversation about Zion. And one of those conversations was, hey, man, why aren't you playing basketball for the professional team that is paying you a lot of money to do so? And Zion's answer on Tuesday was, physically, I am fine. But mentally, I need to be Zion again before I'm comfortable playing. And I had a pretty violent reaction to that, to be honest with you. Because I don't know what that means. I mean, I do agree, to some degree, know what that means, right? I have been in some bad spots before. When I left Jacksonville, as my folks back home will tell you, I was not Rob Brown for a little while there, right? And it took me some time to find myself, to get back to being myself. And when I did, I ended up here. Worth the wait. So I kind of get it to some degree. And he said that this boat is frustrating, man. That's a direct quote. Said he wants to be out there, etc. Well, I have got a very close connection down in New Orleans. You guys know that's where I'm from. I've got a very close connection at Ochsner. That is the hospital system down there through which the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans run their medical program. That is the medical program that's been looking after Zion Williamson. And I've got a very close connection at Ochsner who I had a conversation with. And let me tell you, and I hate doing this because it sounds very #sources, but it's firsthand knowledge. The very popular thought about Zion within the health system down there that's been looking after him was that Zion could have played about 2 weeks ago. Certainly could have played last week and certainly could have played last night. The firsthand source I talked to said, who, by the way, knows one of the people that is on the Pelicans medical staff, that it's not like Zion is walking around the building with his head hung low. Zion's not walking around the building feeling sorry for himself. The popular thought amongst the medical staff, and I acknowledge that they could be wrong, is that Zion just didn't want to play. For whatever reason. The thought for a lot of them is that Zion wanted to see if the Pelicans could contend for a title, right? He wanted to see if they were good enough to compete for a title with the rest of the teams in the West. And if the answer was yes, then he would have come back and played. And if the answer was no, then he was happy to finish this season on the bench, to not test that hamstring out, and to enter the offseason to get ready for next year, allegedly. And that's all well and good, except for we kind of already knew the answer, right? Before Zion went down with the hamstring, the Pelicans were the number one team in the West. They had the 1 seed at one point. That's not to say if Zion never got hurt that they would have kept the 1 seed. But they were the 1 seed for like a while before Z got hurt. Then he went away, and then they weren't that anymore. So it's kind of if that is the reality for Zion Williamson, it's kind of crap logic, right? You already know that you could compete in the West because you owned the West when you were playing. So the Pelicans go in as the second to last team in the play-in. They go up against the very beatable Thunder team. Zion is out there playing full basketball in warm-ups and then not dressing for the game. I am usually pro athletes taking care of themselves. Lonzo, do I have a right to be a little bit frustrated with the guy when he's out there dunking on chumps in warm-ups, playing full-speed basketball, but then not showing up for the game itself when he very clearly is capable of at least logging 15 to 20 minutes because, he did that.
I don't understand why you're blaming him, though. Maybe he doesn't have the final decision.
Oh, he does. He literally said yesterday, I am 100% and could play, but I want to make sure I'm Zion first. The team would have cleared him.
If the team told him he had to play, he would have played. Obviously, the team was okay with it. I mean, it's one of those things. You have a job. If you say, well, you know what, I don't feel like I'm Rob Brown. I haven't had enough sleep. I just don't feel like coming to work today. So I'm not going to come. I'm 100% in some ways. I could work today, but I'm just not going to work today. How would the boss react to that?
Here's the thing. If I called the boss and said,
hey,
man,
hey, Mark, I need a me day.
If I called, for the record, like I know that some of y'all love to crack jokes on a mental health day, of which I'm a big fan.
I didn't say that.
I'm not saying you.
I said a me day.
Correct.
Not a specific
a
thing.
A mental health day is a me day. It's a let me get myself right day. Okay?
I think they're different. What I'm joking about, a me day is you just don't want to work
Correct.
that day.
Correct. You and I both have personal days. They are days that we can literally call in and go, I can't come in today. And there's no.
That's not how that works. Personal days are need to be scheduled. But I'm speaking from that other part of my job. But
it is my understanding.
Don't put anything in people's ideas where suddenly someone goes, Diesel goes, oh, I just heard this on the radio. You know what? I'm taking a personal day. I will not be in today. That's not how that works.
My understanding, and I could be right or I could be wrong, I don't know. But my understanding of the situation is that if I call in and go, hey, I can't come in, I need a personal day, that's how they work. Now, it's requested to give notice when possible, but that's another discussion. The point is, if I called in and said, hey, boss, I ain't feeling right today, I need a day, which I don't do, by the way. I think I've used 2 sick days since I moved here. One of them because I shattered my teeth. One of them because I was puking with 104-degree fever in 3 years. Because champions play.
Yeah, I usually don't stay home unless they make me.
Yeah. But if I called in and said, hey, look, I'm hurt. I am hurt. Like physically, like in the hospital hurt. I would get well, then take care of yourself. And that's fine. You know what I probably could not do?
I would get we'll bring a Comrex to you. But, that's the difference between me and you. So,
wow, okay. The point here is
star power.
I could not say I've got the flu and then take 2.5 months off, right? That would not go well. That is effectively, to some degree, what Zion said. Now, granted, it was a physical ailment with a busted up hamstring, but he could have.
Have they asked the Pelicans why is he not playing?
The answer last week was because his conditioning is not there yet, which I would understand.
Which would mean that they're saying he's not ready.
That's fine. Then don't go on the floor in warmups in a full jersey and play 15 minutes of basketball, including dribble drive, full-scale, violent dunking, and then go, but I'm not mentally there.
Let me put this hypothetical out there because I don't want you to compare me to Pac-Man Jones. What if someone wants to play? Like we'll say there's Zion. What if he wants to play?
He literally said, I don't want to play.
But they won't let him play, and he knows they won't let him play. So what you do is you go out there and you show the world, hey, I should be playing, but they won't let me play.
He said, I don't want to play.
He couldn't say they won't let me play because he'll get fined.
BS. He absolutely could. He could say, I'm ready to go, but the medical staff is holding me out. But that's not the case.
You just they said last week that his conditioning wasn't there yet.
Last week.
Does it? So in 1 week it's there?
Okay. 2 days ago, he said, I'm 100% and could play, but I want to make sure I'm mentally Zion.
Do you remember we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and I think I asked you, what if they just held him out because they wanted him to be ready for next season?
You're in the playoffs. If that is the case, then you are a poverty franchise, and I am done.
You mean like the Dallas Mavericks?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if your team made the playoffs? Because whether we like it or not, the play-in is the playoffs.
It is,
right?
For sure.
So my team's in the playoffs, and they lay down. Screw that. That's garbage. That is poverty mentality.
All right, so I was watching a good portion of that game last night. I didn't make it all the way to the end because I fell asleep. But they looked pretty competitive without Zion. I mean,
the worst team to make the playoffs in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They should have beat that team by 20, right? Vegas had them as 6-point favorites in that game. At home, in their house, with a raucous crowd, a sold-out Smoothie King arena. With Zion, first game back, they win that game going away. But they didn't because they asked C.J. McCollum to take over, and C.J. in the playoffs is white-hot trash. Brandon Ingram did everything he could. Herb is a lockdown defender. And they couldn't get it done. With Zion, they win that game, no question. Zion himself said, the day before the playing game, I'm physically 100% and could go. Physically 100%, but I want to make sure I'm mentally Zion first. I got folks down there connected to the program who tell me he could have gone, but he didn't want to. So either the Pelicans are lying and taking the heat for Zion, and then Zion came out and was like, no, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. I'm not mentally ready. And listen, I am not one to judge somebody when they go, I am mentally unwell. Trust me, I know that struggle is real. I very much do. But if that is the case, don't go out there and spend 15 minutes playing basketball and smiling and hooping it up in warm-ups to then not play in the game. If you wanted to play in that moment, then take your ass back to the facility and go play in a closed gym. You were showing out in front of an arena full of 25,000 fans desperate to see you play so that they could win a game. You came out, you showed them very publicly, I'm good, I'm ready to go, but I just don't want to. Take your butt back to the facility, go into the closed gym with no cameras and no mics and no media and no fans, and work out in an empty gym if you desire that much to work out. If you went to the VP of basketball operations, David Griffin, and said, Dave, I want to get some hoop time in. I want to go. Can you unlock the facility for me? They would send you in a helicopter back there to work out, just in case they won that game and you were ready to go for Minnesota on, Friday night. They would open that gym in a heartbeat. But no, you wanted to show your backside in front of 25,000 people, thirsty as hell to watch you play. You warmed up for 15 minutes throwing down 360 two-handed dunks to then go put your street clothes on for the game. That sucks, dude. That sucks. And now, what do I have to do today? I get to turn on the 4-letter and watch Perk and Wendy and Stephen A go, should the Pelicans trade Zion? You want to know what realization I got to last night? Screw that. If you don't want to play, you can ride every minute of that extension we gave you out on the bench. I will waste 2 years of your career before I trade you. I will be a losing team for 2 more years with you on the pine, paying you to not play, wasting 2 of your prime years before I send you to New York to watch you become an all-star for the Knicks because suddenly your hammy's good. Bleep that. Absolutely not. I will be vindictive and lose for 2 more years of your extension before I trade you. I want to be traded. I'll sit out. Then sit your ass at home. Enjoy your Popeyes, Z. But if you want to be a star in this league, if you want to earn that trade to the Knicks in a $100 million contract, then get out there, take a team that made the playoffs without you, to and through the playoffs. You know, Anthony Davis sucked when he left New Orleans, wearing his "That's all, folks" shirt to sit out the last Pelicans games. But you know what he did? He dragged them to and through the playoffs and won a playoff series. What have you done, dog? What have you done? You in your entire career, just this year, in the 4th year, finally played your 82nd game. Finally played a full season's worth of games. Took you 4 years to get there. And then what'd you do? Sat out the rest of that season. You played less than 70 last year. You played 0, or was it 11 and then 0 the 2 years before that? And now everybody wants to send him to the Knicks so he can be an NBA legend. Screw that. You can start it here. You can play in your prime and do like every other star. Give us a shot before we send you off to a major network to be somebody. But if you ain't going to play for us, I will go 0-82 and sit you on the pine before I let you go be in your prime somewhere else. Because that kind of crap is infuriating. For you to go out there and put on a show in front of a packed out arena instead of taking it down to the local gym, closing it off to the media, and getting a workout in behind closed doors, you made it all about you, bro. You made it all about you. And then you made Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum and Herb and all these other cats, you made them go out there, bust their ass, and lose while staring at you, chucking it up on the bench 10 minutes after you went out there and put on a clinic on all-star dunks. Screw that, man. That's trash. That's trash. We take a break, and I'll be done with all of my topics when we come back. I'm going to go woo-saw in the hall for a minute. I'm Rob. The great ones at the board. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, got a live read. We'll be right back. Stay right there.
I thought it was funny.
It is hilarious.
Look at those trees, though. They're very huggable.
They're
Those
very
out
huggable
there, and
trees.
they're very accessible.
Lonzo's all about that hug life.
Yes.
That's why if y'all come 2 Thursdays from now to Twin Peaks and ask Lonzo for a hug, he'll do it. All right, I've talked about my team. Let's talk about yours, shall we? Updated Vegas odds on who Carolina will likely pick with the number 1 overall pick. These odds come from BetMGM, courtesy of the BetQL network. Last week, CJ Stroud was the betting favorite at about minus 125. Bryce Young was about plus 125. On Monday, the lines shifted a little bit. CJ Stroud went to minus 130. Bryce Young went to about plus 115. Today, Bryce Young's line has moved again. So if you took some money when I told you to back on Monday on Bryce Young, your profit line just got even better. Today, the lines have dropped. Bryce Young is now minus 300 to be the Panthers pick. CJ Stroud is now plus 210. Vegas is all but convinced at this point that Bryce Young is the guy. Now, the Associated Press every year does a mock draft where they have all of their writers, all of their beat writers get together and discuss how they believe the first round is going to shake out. And interestingly enough, the Associated Press still believes that CJ Stroud will be the guy. They put in his write-up that Stroud's size gives him an edge over Young. And Stroud, quote, has a strong, accurate arm and possesses the leadership ability and other intangibles that Frank Reich values, end quote. They have Bryce Young going number 2 to the Houston Texans. But ESPN's exactly the other way around. Kuiper, McShay, Schefter, they now all have Bryce Young as the number 1 overall pick of the Carolina Panthers. Now, Vegas does react to the thoughts of writers, to the thoughts of insiders, to the thoughts of beat reporters. There is a guy in every book that puts out odds on the number 1 overall pick who is doing nothing but following and interacting with every person that has any sort of contact with the Carolina Panthers. About a week and a half ago, I did a spot with one of the pods from the BetQL network. And they asked me the same question. Who do I think is the number 1 overall pick? And my answer was, I think it's Bryce Young. Now, I said this when Bryce Young was about plus 125 in the Vegas books, and I put money down at plus 125. He's now minus 300. That means if you bet him today, you got to wager $1 to win back 33 cents. When I got him, I wager $1 and I get $1.25 back. So I got the value pick at the time. I spoke with one of the hosts of the BetQL network off the air after we were done, and he told me that the BetMGM folks, at the very least, pay attention to even what dudes like me have to say about all of this. They are locked in not just with the Shefties, not just with the Rizzutis, but with the Rob Browns of different markets. And all of that goes into what the lines say. Now, that is not to say that I have any super deep inside information. I probably have slightly deeper connections with the media in Charlotte than most people do. We know that Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer listen to this show every day. I don't have inside info, which is why I lean on Vegas. Minus 300, 2 weeks to the day before the draft. The odds going that far that quickly. This pick is in. Bryce Young's coming to Charlotte.
All right, so I'm curious if the pick is in, and I was curious about when C.J. Stroud is visiting with the Panthers, and that's next Tuesday.
Correct.
So how much will the odds shift after Tuesday?
If they come down at all, I don't suspect it's going to be by that much. Maybe we see BY go from minus 300 to like minus 250. But I do not think we are going to see a polar shift like we have so far. If we were going to see that, I don't think the odds would have gotten this separated here. If the odds were going to shift like that, I think CJ would still be sitting at like even money right now, not 2-1 on the return line.
All right.
That's a huge jump.
Heading into the draft, which we will be live at Twin Peaks the Thursday of the draft, 9 to 12. You should come and check it out. Offsides will also be there from 3 to 7. Do you recall, which do you like better? Do you like a year like this year where you don't know who the number one pick is, or do you like a year when there's no doubt who the number one pick is?
For the record, to me, there's no doubt who the number one pick is anymore. I know who it's going to be. It's going to be Bryce. I am confident saying that now.
So when you're confident saying something and it doesn't come true on draft day,
I will eat it on Friday.
How do you address that on Friday?
I will eat it on Friday. But how do I address it?
Do you address it as,
saying, hey,
I would like to thank the great Lonzo, who has said from the beginning that the Panthers should trade up to number one, which they did, and then took C.J. Stroud because he is the far superior quarterback, and I feel bad because Bryce Young is still very short. Would you say all that?
If I am wrong, I will say that and allow you to dunk on me all day Friday, metaphorically speaking.
So I need permission for that? Okay.
I mean, no, but I will sit here and take it and not push back. If Bryce Young is not the number one overall pick to the Panthers, then 2 weeks from tomorrow, I will handle it like an adult by coming in here and saying, hey, I was wrong. That's my bad. But as of right now, I am damn confident saying Bryce Young's going to be the pick.
I am extremely confident that I don't know. That's what I'm confident in. I'm not going to. My sources say that Bryce Young is going to be I'm here. I hear tell the scuttlebutt.
Hashtag sources.
Yes. I don't know. I kind of like that, except for I want my guy to go number one just so you'll be wrong and so the Panthers will win. Because I think they're going to struggle with Bryce Young, and I do think the height will come into play. It's great he has a football mind. As they were saying yesterday, he's going to make an awesome coach. Will he be successful in the NFL? I don't know. You know what? I hope they all will be. But I think C.J. Stroud has a better shot at it. I'm going to root for my guy, and I think he's going to be the guy, and I think you're going to be wrong. And if you are right, I hope you're really right, because if you're wrong, we're going to be coming back week after week talking about how bad Bryce Young looks in a Panthers uniform, how bad he's playing, and how well C.J. Stroud is doing at Houston, because that would be the proof of how good of a quarterback he is if he goes there and is able to be victorious.
I think that, as I've mentioned, I will take a sharp quarterback, the sharpest quarterback available, over the most physical quarterback available. Lamar Jackson is not Lamar Jackson just because he's an uber athletic runner. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson because he is an uber athletic runner, a better runner than CJ Stroud, to be clear.
I want someone better than Lamar Jackson. I don't want to settle for that level. I want someone the next
Lamar
level.
Is settling?
Yes. And so does the rest. So does the rest of the NFL, because there's a reason why he's still not on a team.
Because he wants $300 billion.
And you have to restructure how you do everything for how he plays.
For a guy as talented as Lamar, that is worth doing.
Where's that talent got him? I mean, other than being rich and all that kind of stuff, as far as in the league, how many playoff games has he won?
Lamar Jackson plays on it. Part of the reason Lamar wants out is very similar to Aaron Rodgers. Since Steve Smith Jr., name me the last great Ravens receiver.
Why would you want to go there? I mean, how many passes is OBJ actually going to get?
It's not about whether a guy wants to go there.
What
It's
I'm
about
saying, if
whether
you're a
they will
receiver,
bring a guy in.
and we know receivers are divas and are about their stats and all that kind of stuff, you go to Baltimore to play with Lamar, your stats are not going to be good. They're just not, because that offense is not geared that way. It's a run-first offense.
It is not.
For sure it is. And look up the stats and accuse me of throwing out Pac-Man numbers. But it is not, the perception is it's not geared that way. A couple years ago, they were talking about getting rid of Lamar, and instead they brought in an offensive coordinator, I don't remember his name, to restructure how they did things to be better for his game. So they redid everything for him, and they still haven't gotten anywhere.
So, couple of things. Baltimore.
Did you say Steve Smith Jr.? Because someone's
senior. Sorry.
I mean, you know.
I'm so.
Hey, he'll come after you. You don't want to do that.
You have to understand that for me, it's hard for me to remember that I am in the age of seniors now, right? Like the people I grew up watching now have kids coming into the league.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to accept.
But Steve
that
is an angry man, and he wants people to call him senior. So, you know.
Yeah, that's my bad, Steve. Don't at me, bro. We'll put Lamar to the side for right now. CJ Stroud is a fine quarterback. I am not arguing that. If CJ Stroud is the pick, I will not be unhappy with it. I will celebrate it, as will you. All I'm saying right now is mentally prepare yourselves, because Bryce Young's the pick. I am 95% confident of that right now. Could that change over the next 2 weeks? Absolutely, it could. It is not consensus out there that Bryce Young is the pick. As I just mentioned, the AP's mock poll put out by all of their writers together says it's CJ Stroud.
I am curious about if they have somewhere on the internet where everything is who's more accurate at picking year after year.
In terms of like who produces more success?
No, like the AP versus
gotcha.
ESPN versus Fox versus, you know, and I get the names change, except for some certain guy on ESPN whose hair, even though receding, is still too perfect. Mel Kiper has been there forever, but names do change from year to year. Or I'm just curious if there's something out there who says is the most accurate.
I have no idea.
Who you should trust more.
I have no idea, which is why, what entity do I trust the most? If I had to pick one, Las Vegas. Las Vegas. My mock draft, as of today, is now 5 picks deep. It will be revealed next week.
Dude, slow down.
I know. I'm really racing through this thing. My mock draft's 5 picks deep. It started with Bryce Young, and it is Bryce Young today. The most non-partial, unbiased entity in this game is Las Vegas. That's the team. And I suspect that they are right.
You know, according to the internet, Kiper is 80% true. I mean, accurate in his picks.
Where I went to high school, that's a B. That's a B.
It's a low B, but it's still a B.
Still a B. If you pick anything at an 80%, if you were a weatherman picking at 80%, you'd be famous.
Oh, there is actually a leaderboard according to some place called Fantasy Nerds.
I trust them implicitly.
The 2022 NFL picks accuracy leaderboard overall. Looks like CBS is number one with 180 correct picks. Oh, they're tied. So is Gridiron Sports, whatever that is, and so is USA Today.
We'll see what USA Today's mock draft is. I haven't checked theirs yet. Let's see.
These are places that we go to all the time off the air, but I'm talking about just asking questions that I've never thought of before, and I'm curious.
Let's go to the USA Today mock draft. They have Bryce Young as the number one overall pick. So again, and we don't know the methodology of each, right? I don't know the epistemology that they use to arrive at the pick.
What?
It's my favorite word of the day.
Wait, what how do you
epistemology? It is the process by which you arrive at your beliefs.
See, and I thought it was you just made everybody angry.
I am epistemologied off, y'all. I don't know. Does USA Today just wait for Kipe and then kind of copy theirs? I don't know.
Well, that wouldn't make them more accurate than that. And we don't know how they
correct
come about their data. I guess you could go year to year and see how many picks they had right and all that kind of stuff.
Here's what I know. What I know is if you ask me to pick a source I trust more than anybody else, it's the Vegas bookmakers. And the Vegas bookmakers say if you want to bet on Bryce Young, you have to pay $3 to win one. That's where it stands right now. If you want to take CJ, we will give you 2 for every one that you bet. That's the long shot he is right now. So, like I said, Bryce is the better quarterback in terms of the things that quarterbacks do. CJ's got the build. Which do you prefer? All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got a few more things I wanted to get out in this hour of the show. Final hour of the show, Fight Club with Lonzo at 11:20. We'll take a look around combat sports, which has been exceptionally busy. And in the opening segment of the next hour, we will rush through a handful of stories I haven't gotten a chance to get to yet. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Got me again, but not as bad as the first time. It's just it doesn't. I think he speaks too quick.
The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the New Orleans Pelicans 123-118. Big night for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 32 points. He hit a go-ahead baseline jumper and 4 clutch free throws in the final 29 seconds. Oak City moves on to play at Minnesota Friday night for the right to enter the NBA playoffs as an 8th seed. The Denver Nuggets await the winner of the matchup. Zach LaVine scored 39 points. DeMar DeRozan had 23 against his former team, and the Bulls overcame a 19.
Invoices. We're getting
I
surprised.
guess my happy trees aren't getting you to that Zen place. I tried. I don't have a brown. Writing and drawing on a whiteboard is a lot harder than I thought.
In other words, Ramp
This is my first
reimagine
experience.
finance to make it work for your business. Get set up, issue corporate cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes. See how Ramp does finance. Join today and get $250 just for signing up. Just go to ramp.com/offer. That's ramp.com/offer to get $250 for signing up. That's ramp.com/offer.
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we don't for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund.
Part-time Jaguars fan.
Per employee. Getrefunds.com. Getrefunds.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came from the frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Smart.
From the Fleet Odyssey CBS Sports Radio. Getting the game on the Rob Brown Show.
Wrapping up the second hour of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Quick note on the Atlanta Braves. I'm sure you've already heard by this point, but another injury to the rotation, and this one is going to be permanent. And Anderson will miss the remainder of this season. He will have to have Tommy John surgery, may or may not be available for the beginning of next year. 110 for the Bravos last season, was obviously a key player in the 2021 World Series championship. Began this year at AAA Gwinnett, had control problems during the spring, could not make a spot on the rotation. 8 walks in 7 1/3 innings this spring, then walked 2 batters while recording only 2 outs and allowing 4 earned in his only start for Gwinnett. Following the start with Gwinnett, they ran some tests on him, found out that he has a torn UCL in his throwing elbow, and so surgery for Anderson is, according to Brian Snicker, quote, imminent. It is injuries that look like, if the Braves are to be derailed early, will cause that to happen, because last night, second inning of the series finale against the Cincinnati Reds, Orlando Arcia was drilled with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball to the wrist. He let out an audible scream. He was removed from the game. He trotted down to first to try to stay in the game. Ended up taking the field in the top of the third, returned to the dugout, and was pulled. Ihir Adrianzo was his replacement in this one. Arcia was off to a fantastic start for the Bravos, was batting .333, had a couple of homers and 7 RBIs, did go in for an X-ray, came back negative. But as of right now, we do not know what, if any, the long-term ramifications for this will be. The Braves already getting thin due to injuries across the starting defensive 9. And still waiting to see, is Soroka coming back? Max Fried is expected to return at some point. We'll see if that messed up hamstring hampers him at all in the very near future. Arcia is now out. Ozuna is batting like trash right now. Got to wonder if there's something wrong with him. So a lot of questions for Atlanta out of the gate. That being said, they have so far played relatively well with the exception of the meltdown against the Padres. They have swept 2 from the NL Central, from the Cards and the Reds. They took 2 out of 3 against the Nats and 1 out of 4 against the Padres. We'll check back in with them later on. Third hour of the show's next. It is the Fan Upstate.
Donovan loses his job tomorrow night in Miami. His Bulls are headed there after last night's 109-105 win in Toronto, which ended the Raptors season. Zach LaVine made Donovan look smart with a 30-point second half.
He was great. I mean, he was assertive, he was aggressive. I felt very, very decisive. When he does that, I feel like he's at his best. You know, when he's not trying to survey and hold the ball, and he just goes in his attack mode or pull up, drive it, pass it. He's really, really, I think, is incredibly difficult to guard.
LaVine scored 39 total while the Raptors missed 18 free throws. The Thunder also won in the play-in on the road, 123-118 in New Orleans. Setting up a game in Minnesota tomorrow night, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 32. Tomorrow's winners become the 8 seeds and face the Bucks and Nuggets respectively in round 1. The Tampa Bay Rays now 12-0 after a 9-7 win over the Red Sox last night. And the Islanders clinched the final wildcard in the NHL's Eastern Conference with a 4-2 win over the Canadiens. This means the Penguins' 16-year playoff streak is over.
Gables in the first break.
All righty.
To listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio. If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-758-7980 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-758-7980. That's 800-758-7980. What do you have to lose? Call 800-758-7980. Again, 800-758-7980.
Golfers, the best upstate deal on golf is back and on sale now. The 2023 Upstate Golf Card gets you a round of golf at 9 premier upstate courses, and it's still only $99. Grab your foursome and get your Upstate Golf Cards now to play courses including Rolling Green, Links with Tryon, the Club at Brookstone, the Raw Golf Club, and more. Order at theupstategolfcard.com. 9 rounds of golf for only $99. Upstategolfcard.com. Upstategolfcard.com.
Countdown to Earth Day. Just 9 days to go. In the spring, use heat-generating appliances like dishwashers and ovens in the evening and off-peak hours. When we
This might have been a day to actually wear a hoodie because it's cold in here. This is for me.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of raw cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
WORD Sweatshirt.
WFBC HD3 Greenville, the official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. CBS Sports Radio. Live from the Philadelphia.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real.
Yeah. Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Only
The Fan Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great Lonzo with you on a beautiful Upstate Thursday afternoon. Coming up here in about 17, 18 minutes. Time for Fight Club with the great one. We'll take you on a walk around all things combat sports in the Upstate. Got some UFC stuff to talk about, MMA. There's a boxing. There's somebody pretending to be boxing in there. And, of course, a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling. We're going to get to all of that coming up in about 20 minutes on Fight Club. Let me run through some other stories that have popped up over the last couple of days. We mentioned yesterday that the Carolina Panthers have had a high-level executive depart from the program. The vice president of football operations, Stephen Drummond, is no longer with the team. He joined the franchise back in 2005 as assistant director of communications, was named to his current executive role in 2021, having stayed with the team following the sale back in 2018 of the Panthers to David Tepper. He was there for about 10 years before he was promoted to director of communications, oversaw the Panthers' communications and media relations during their trip to Super Bowl 50 in 2017. He was also given digital media and broadcast roles. Then he obviously got promoted to the VP role in 2018. He said in a statement, quote, "With the changes this offseason, this seemed like a good time to transition to other interests. I have enjoyed my time with the Panthers and appreciate the opportunities they gave me. I will continue to root for their success." You know, for a guy that was in a place for the better part of 18 years, that seemed like a relatively ho-hum send-off in my, about 18 years. Ever so blah send-off. So I put on my tinfoil hat yesterday, and I got to wondering, is there a chance that both Lonzo and I are wrong? is there a chance that both Lonzo and I end up eating crow 2 weeks from tomorrow? And the Panthers do shock everybody. There's another option on the table that I did not bring up yesterday. And it is not that the Carolina Panthers shock us all and select Anthony Richardson at number 1. The other option would see the Carolina Panthers shock us all and draft Anthony Richardson at number 3. Stick with me here. There is a growing belief in the possibility that the Tennessee Titans, who have Ryan Tannehill for one more year before he becomes a free agent, Ryan Tannehill has been acceptable, though not great, with the Tennessee Titans. There is a growing belief that the Tennessee Titans believe that they are a solid QB away from being competitors. There is a growing belief that the Arizona Cardinals may be willing to make the switch with the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Poles is the general manager of the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles yesterday told a reporter that they received 4 offers for the number 1 overall pick. The Panthers, including DJ Moore, was the deciding factor to send the number 1 pick to Charlotte and move the Bears down to number 9. If there were 4 teams, including Carolina, looking at moving to number 1, that likely means that there would be 3 teams looking to move to number 3. Unless they just had their sights on either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud at number 1, right? Because again, the consensus right now is that BY and CJ are coming off the board 1-2. We don't know the order yet. Vegas thinks it's BY, then CJ. Either way, those 2 guys are off the board 1-2. Which means that if you want a QB and you go to 3, Anthony Richardson or Will Levis are the only ones available. And right now, the popular belief, and I agree with it, is that Anthony Richardson of those 2 is the right pick. If there were 3 teams that were looking for a quarterback, and that quarterback did not necessarily need to be CJ or BY, then moving to number 3 would be entertaining. Here would be my question. If they were looking for number 1 for CJ or Bryce Young, the Panthers beat them out for that spot. If they are willing to make the move to number 3 with the Arizona Cardinals, is it possible that Carolina, once that trade becomes official, Carolina, if Frank Reich is indeed as sold on Anthony Richardson, as some reports are saying that he is, and if Tepper and Fitzy have indeed taken the mentality they have that I've suggested that they take, that is, if you want Frank Reich to accomplish the 2 things you brought him to Charlotte to do, number 1, win, and number 1, find and excel with the quarterback position. You got to let Frank Reich do his thing. You got to let him make his pick. You got to let him have his guy to work with, the guy that he believes he will work the best with, and he will give the best chance to succeed. If Frank Reich is sold on AR and somebody jumps up to 3, Tennessee, for instance, if Tennessee does indeed go to number 3, Carolina could theoretically get on the horn then with them and go, look, if CJ or Bryce is your guy, you flip with us. You go to 1, we'll go to 3, we'll take AR, you get your guy, Houston gets stuck with whichever of the 2 guys is left over, we'll get our guy at 3, and you recoup some of the price. Arizona is not going to move up. one of the things that I think has been lost by a lot of people this offseason is that it takes two teams to be able to move, right? The thing I've heard more than anything else this offseason is you don't jump to number one to take a project. I agree with that. You can fall back to number three and take a project. Nobody else was going to move. Carolina had no other option. They had to go either 1, 2, or 3. Arizona reportedly wanted the similar, if not the same package that the Bears wanted, which meant that number one was the only spot on the table. But if Arizona is now more willing to move backwards, knowing that if they do, likely picks 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all going to go quarterback, pushing the Will Andersons of the world back, unless they are just dead set on a guy like Will Anderson. Then they can trade back inside that top 10, still get one of the top tier guys, and pick up a couple more picks down the line. And if that was the case, if that discussion's being had, Vegas could still have Bryce Young as the number one overall pick and be correct. Because it is not Bryce Young drafted by the Panthers. It is just Bryce Young being drafted number one overall. Is that a move worth making for Carolina? To recoup some of what they gave away, to give themselves another opportunity to pick a wide receiver in round, let's say 3, that could shape the wide receiver room. All I'm saying is it's worth a listen. Not that it's going to happen, just that it's worth the conversation.
You ever work with someone who's just angry, and so they want everyone around them to be angry too? And so they do this thing that they know that makes somebody else angry so that they can just share and just high blood pressure and anger, because that's what you're doing right now. And it's not going to work, because there is absolutely no way that they would do this. There is no way.
I love that you think that I am putting a take out just to pick at you.
Why wouldn't you?
That is top tier trolling if that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's not.
Just like picking names for things that I don't like, just saying them over and over again because it bothers me. There's no way. All that aside, there's no way the Panthers would do this. They're not the Raiders or some other team that just does something stupid. Like this would be dumb. It really would. I see what you're saying, advantages of picking up picks, but they already had a ton of picks. And what is the advantage of trading back truly? You're getting a project. That's no. It's going to be Bryce or CJ. There's no way they're trading out of that spot. You don't work that hard to get up there, and then right before you get to choose, go, you know what? You can have it.
You do if and only if the only reason you went to one is that there was nowhere else to go, which I don't think that there was.
I think this is overthinking on the parts of people who think that this is a possibility.
It's the draft. We all overthink.
Yeah, I know, but
season,
this takes it to another level. It just doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Fair enough. We'll come back to that, because coming up 2 Thursdays from now, 2 weeks from today, we will be live at Twin Peaks on NFL Draft Day.
Wait. We're going to be live somewhere.
Sure are.
You and I,
both of us,
are going out on location
in public,
and advertised that we'll be out in public.
2 weeks from today, we will be at Twin Peaks. We will be there from 9 to noon. The doors open at 11. So yes, you may tailgate from 9 to 11, and then at 11, come on in. At noon, when the show is over, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I'll be having some wings and beer with those of you that show up.
I will. I'll be eating lunch. I'm not quite sure what I'm eating because I haven't been there before. And then I will be leaving and coming back here for work.
That's fair. I won't be.
Because I still have a lot of work to do.
I won't
but,
be. So come on out, Twin Peaks, 2 weeks from today. Doors open at 11. We'll be there from 9 to noon. Doors open at 11. You can come and have a beer. Yes, you can tailgate the parking lot. All right. A couple more stories before we get to Fight Club. We have now got our Sunday Masters ratings out and available. Sunday, A combined 16.251 million viewers watched the conclusion of the third round in the morning. In the evening, the Masters became the most watched golf telecast on any network since the final round, when they averaged over 13 million viewers for the end of the tournament. And keep in mind that is the end of the broadcast, a broadcast in which it became evident about 45 minutes before he did that Jon Rahm would win. The final round was also the most streamed round of golf ever on Paramount Plus, with double-digit growth from last year's Masters across households and average minute audience, though we do not have specific numbers yet. That is a claim from CBS. Viewership on Sunday peaked with more than 15 million viewers checking in from 7 to 7:15 p.m. Eastern as Jon Rahm was closing out his 4-shot victory. No Rory. No Tiger, Jon Rahm, Brooks Koepka, etc. Let me just go ahead and say, you can hate the LIV Tour, and I don't have any ill will towards anybody who does. You can disagree with the funding of the LIV Tour or the premise of the LIV Tour or whatever you want, but it worked for golf. More viewers for the Masters than ever before. Now, the question's going to be, does that number elevate this week when they're playing over on the East Coast of South Carolina, or does it not? We will find out in a few days. And finally, before we get to Fight Club, we talked to you a little bit about the NFL Sunday Ticket. They announced their pricing for the NFL Sunday Ticket for YouTube TV subscribers a couple of days ago. $249 per season if you purchase by June 6th, $349 if after, $289 per season if you bundle with the Red Zone by June 6th, $389 if you bundle after. You also have, as a YouTube TV subscriber, if you are one, the option of purchasing just the NFL Red Zone channel for $11 a month during the season. Now, that's not awful. For those who have never subscribed to the Sunday Ticket, it includes all out-of-market regular season games that air each Sunday on both Fox and CBS. Local games are blacked out on the Sunday Ticket and can only be watched locally. And so some folks, myself included, had hoped that YouTube might offer the option to purchase a single game or a package that would allow you to watch just one team's out-of-market games, but the NFL is not doing that. Why wouldn't they do that? Because they want your money. Okay? They want your money. Your money is more important than your experience as a fan. End of story. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I saw like 17 blogs and op-eds written this week lambasting the NFL for this decision. And why would the NFL do this to their fans? Did they not? No. They want your money. And if Lonzo drops $389 on the Sunday Ticket and I don't, they come out ahead. Because it's not like I'm not going to watch the stream. I'm not going to watch the games. Even if I got to work a little harder to find it, that is all they care about. Okay? So calm down with the blogs. Calm down with the op-eds. It comes down to the dollar bills, y'all. Let's take a break. It's Thursday. You know what that means? When we come back, it is time for Fight Club with Lonzo. We'll talk boxing, MMA, UFC, WWE, AEW, and who knows what else he's got lined up. We'll find out next. Rob, Lonzo, and you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Gables.
Our guys got another live read. Y'all stay right there. We'll come back in just a minute and get to it.
Sponsored by Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric.
At Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric, we deliver quality service and expert installation you can trust. Call Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric today or skip the line and book online.
I think the best thing said on the stream today is Hudson saying moist. Just to trigger all the people who don't like the word moist.
Which I've never really gotten.
Me either. I knew someone who didn't like the word, the two words rather, light bulb. They didn't like the word bulb. It's like, okay, why does bulb bother you? Welcome into the Fight Club, where at least half of us believe that the Paul brothers have saved boxing. And we're going to talk about that extensively. That might be just all we talk about is Jake Paul. Because this guy put boxing back on the map, got people talking about boxing, got people interested in boxing that normally was like, old people like that. I'm more into, I'd rather watch some UFC and see people get kicked in the face than watching someone dancing around and not throwing punches. Then the Paul brothers got into the game and brought it back to the Utes, which is where it needs to grow and where it's continuing to grow. When the old heads die out, the Utes that the Paul brothers brought back into boxing will keep boxing alive. And half of us truly appreciate that. Which is why we're going to talk about Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz finally happening. And here's the thing. I'll only believe it when I see it. Just because you say something's going to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen. They've talked about this for a while. And out of all the people who I don't believe can stick to boxing rules, Nate Diaz would be that guy. When Conor went up against Mayweather tried to get Conor to go UFC on him because he got in trouble a couple of times. Rob didn't see it, but I did, and so did a lot of other people, as far as seeing how Conor held his own for a long time with Mayweather. There was no Mayweather playing with him. He got rocked a couple of times. It was like, wait, what? Okay, I'm going to tie up and make this guy go UFC on me so I can get out of this fight before I accidentally mess around and lose. Jake Paul can get Nate Diaz to do that in no time. Because we know my dude is, what's the opposite of high?
Sober?
Is it?
Or low, depending on how you're using it.
So the opposite of high, I guess, would be sober. When was the last time that Nate Diaz was not high?
I don't know. How old is Nate Diaz now? Like 38? Me, my age?
Yeah, well, he looks a lot older. That's what that stuff does
when
to you.
you get punched in the face your entire life.
Yeah, and when you're on the weed all the time.
He will be 37 in 3 days. Sorry, he'll be 38 in 3 days. So just so I'm clear here, Paul brother number 2 has saved boxing.
Yes.
By scheduling a fight.
Yes.
With a 30-year-old not boxer. Because when he did fight a boxer, he got his ass kicked. So that's our theory here, is that Jake saved boxing by scheduling a fight against a 38-year-old guy who's never boxed before.
All right, we already know you're angry. Let's go to the stream real quick. Hudson says, oh no, Jake Paul will die. No, he won't, because it's scripted. Let's see. He also says Nate will hurt him so badly. That's the thing. Nate will forget that he's supposed to lose and might accidentally win, which would make this entertaining to where they'd have to stop the cameras like they allegedly have done before. Let's see. Some guy with the last name Brown says Diaz will pepper him for however many rounds and Paul will win by decision. Bet the bank. And let's see. James says the answer is low, but it makes me think of Flo Rida. And who doesn't think of Flo Rida every once in a while?
Shorty got low.
All right. So, yes, whether you like it or not, they put boxing back in the mainstream as far as young people talking about them. I know we've had this fight before, but since you feel like fighting today, why not? Yeah, they put it back in the mainstream where people are talking about it. More people will watch this fight than will watch regular boxing. It's unfortunate. I'm sure the stats will back me up, or I'm going Pac-Man again, which is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life on the show. If I get something inaccurate. I know you're not going to pay for this, and I get that. I get this. So you're not going to watch it at all.
You want to know how I see it?
So I'm going to come back the next week on Fight Club, unless you cancel Fight Club, so I can't talk about it, and talk about it, and you're just going to abstain.
Here's what I'll tell you. There's no way I'm escaping the result of this fight.
Right.
Because I travel in boxing circles. So it's going to pop up, right?
Travels
There's no
in
way.
Boxing squared circles.
Nicely done. There's no way I'm going to avoid the outcome of this fight because it's going to be plastered over social media. I could do the best I could to refine my timeline to make sure it doesn't show up, but there's not going to be a way to avoid it. I will know what happens. The only way I will see any bit of this boxing match will be as if Nate Diaz knocks Jake's head in a complete circle, and then I'll watch the KO.
Yeah,
but if it ends any other way, I will do all I can to avoid it. Because, yes, I don't do this very often and stick my nose in the air and act pretentious, but I will right here. Telling me that boxing is saved because a non-boxer is fighting an almost 40-year-old non-boxer, and that's the best boxing is doing right now, when I'm going to say the royal you, not you particularly, but the royal you, although in this case, yes, also you. There are plenty of other
We
stories.
often think of ourselves as the royal you.
I am royal.
Carry on.
There are plenty of other stories happening in boxing right now. Anthony Joshua just got a win. He is trying to fight his way back up there to potentially end up in another fight with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is once again going on his one more fight and then I'm retiring crap that he does every fight. He's the best fighter on planet Earth right now. Deontay Wilder has a fight coming up. He is trying to get back. There are plenty of boxing stories right now that are actively avoided in order to talk about a YouTube guy who trains his ass off. I'm not taking that away from him, but who does not box, fighting another guy who does not box in a boxing match.
All right, let's go back. I think a year ago. Yeah, it probably would be about a year ago when Rob's opinion changed on one of the Paul brothers. Do you remember that? When suddenly your opinion on Logan Paul changed? Because you know why? Because Logan Paul can wrestle.
You're painting it the wrong way.
No. I'm
stop.
not
Don't
painting.
tell me what my opinion is. Let me.
I was
going to
ask you a question afterwards.
Right, but you're basing it on a false pretense here. My opinion on Logan Paul did not change. I still don't think he's a good person. I still think that his content leading to where he got to be.
There are bad people doing good things all over the place.
Logan Paul has not done anything good. He is just a good wrestler.
Okay.
And I will give him that.
So if something entertained you, then that would be good. So were you not entertained
You and I
by the Logan Paul matches
yes,
so far?
He's a good wrestler.
So
and the fact that he is a good wrestler is fine, but he had to prove to me that he is a good wrestler. Jake Paul has had one boxing match against a real whichever Paul.
You're getting where I was going.
Yes.
Okay. Logan Paul has made you come around and say that he's a good wrestler because he is a good wrestler. He really is. Jake Paul could do the same.
Jake Paul has
could
fought
do
a
the same.
boxing match against a boxer.
Right.
And what happened?
Yeah, but he
lost.
He could still do the same.
Call me when he does. Until he does, it's a waste of my time.
I'll call you, but you'd never answer when I call. So
No, I don't respond to text. I answer phone calls.
Okay. I guess we should probably move on because, I wanted the anger in the show to continue, and I stick by it. I think Jake Paul has managed to get young people excited about it. We've talked about this before. My daughter had no like at all for boxing, but then started watching it when Jake Paul was fighting. I know a lot of people that age, 20-something, younger, up to the 30s, who are watching because of them. That's good for a sport. Whether you think they're a real boxer or not, if they come along and they watch that predetermined fight and then see actual fights on the cards and get into boxing, that's a good thing,
Cool,
in my
talk
opinion.
about those then.
Yeah.
Talk about those then.
They're not going to get me into it because boxing's dying.
There you go.
But I'm old. And as I mentioned earlier, I'd rather see someone get kicked in the face. Speaking of getting kicked in the face, so I have a job on Saturday nights. I don't know if you guys knew that. If you didn't, you should tune in the Upstate Pulse, 98.9, 7 to 9 p.m. Usually during that, when there is a pay-per-view, I get a text from my wife saying, I bought the fights. I got that last week, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sure about this card. I went home and watched it, and it was money so well spent because Israel Adesanya getting his belt back, which was an excellent knockout. It was great against Alex Pereira. And let's see, what was it? Oh, yeah. Gilbert Burns against Jorge Masvidal. Now, Masvidal lost, but I'm glad I watched because this is supposedly his last fight. So it's historic from that aspect. Also, Kevin Holland wins. He jumps over the cage where former President Donald Trump is sitting with Dana White and just strikes up a conversation with him. I don't care what president it is. I don't care if you like that president or not. That's still kind of cool that he was able to do that. And I just thought that was cool. Whether it was Obama, whether it was Jimmy Carter, whether it was, it wouldn't have mattered. The fact that he jumped across the cage and had a conversation while standing there all sweaty after just defeating someone. And there was talk back and forth, and there was no rushing of Secret Service or anything like that. I thought that was a great moment.
I am a fan of presidents as sports fans. I was a big fan of Obama doing his bracketology every year. I was a big fan of seeing W show up at Rangers games. HW was still showing up at 180 years old in his wheelchair. I'm a big fan of presidents as sports fans, especially when they're the sports that I like the most. As far as that fight goes, first off, it was the best card they've put together in a while, right? We agree on that, I think. Yes. Best card UFC's put together in a while, but they're also going to put this is UFC season, right? This is UFC. We're so early in baseball that it's too early to really get clawed in on teams outside of your team. The NBA's postseason is not really yet underway. And even when it is, it's not like it's a huge audience to pull from. And football's over. It's UFC season. So I'm glad that they recognize their spot in the lineup and put together a hell of a card. I've been a Jorge Masvidal fan for like a while. Love watching that guy fight. So bummed that he's leaving.
But he's older.
Fight for the walkout.
And as he said, as post-fight speech in the ring, he's made a lot of money.
Yep.
And so he doesn't have to continue doing this. And we speculated before this happened that this was it anyway. And so it's not a surprise. But like a lot of fighters, you hope when they do retire, especially when they're on a losing streak, and that's one of the reasons why they're out, because it looks like they've lost it, that they don't come back. So invest well.
You know what he could do?
What could he do?
Go box Jake Paul for no reason.
Yeah, but you don't want to go lose to Jake Paul. You don't want to do that when you went out on a high note. One last thing on the UFC. Stipe Miocic is saying that John Jones is ducking him already. And so it was rumored that the fight was going to be in July. Now there's not really any talks about it. So this is going exactly how I thought it would.
Yeah, but
they're Dana's downplaying. They're all downplaying it. So this fight's not going to happen because John Jones does not want to fight him.
Then take the belt. This is so dumb.
No, I agree.
If he refuses to fight, now two things could be true here. Either A, Stipe is being legit. Jones is trying to get out of that fight. In which case, if Dana and co do anything other than take his belt away, then it delegitimizes the company and the sport. Or B, Stipe is falling into the McGregor trap of do everything we can to put drama on the fight so that when it happens, people get a payoff.
He has legitimate beef with this whole situation, as we've talked about before. I mean, he's a former champ. He got passed on. You bring John Jones back in after he hasn't fought in years and then give him a title fight and basically put the belt on him. Now he's got the belt on him. This is a legitimate contender. This is the fight people want to see, unless you're doing the hard times in UFC. and Stipe is going to have to work his way back up to get a shot at that belt. We'll see.
Is there any other fight right now
that I want to see? No,
that caliber?
no. So, and from that standpoint, that could be exactly what they're doing. But because John Jones is involved, you don't really know what's going on. I mean, is he about to get hit for some more steroids or cocaine or something else? Or is he legitimately sitting around waiting for the powers that be to make his next match? I don't know. I want to see this fight. And if John Jones beats Stipe, he beats him. But let's see the fight. And I don't want to have to wait a year for that to happen, because John Jones sitting idle is a mistake by the UFC. And they know that, not because, well, the belt is idle, but because he ain't got nothing to do. And he will find something to do that will cause you to have to take the belt away from him.
UFC has, whether you like it or not, certainly got some image issues here and there. All right. Depending on what angle.
Starting at the top.
Starting at the top. The one thing that I think is the most important thing for them to do is to, while they are leaning into the WWE entertainment side of it, which, okay, I guess it works, so I can't fault them.
Which now they have writers available to them.
Correct.
Because they're owned by the same company.
Correct. If they are going to lean into that, you at least have to keep the concept of there's a champ, there's a number one contender, they fight each other. If the champ loses, he goes to the bottom. If the contender loses, he goes to the bottom and the next guy rolls in. But you have got to keep the legitimacy there. And if you allow John Jones to carry around that strap for a year and not fight the number one contender, why the hell should I care? Why the hell should I care? You should give me 3 or 4 fights from the guys that are ranked 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, beating up each other to find out who the next number one is. And then you should give me a championship bout between the champ and number one, the loser that goes to the bottom, the champ goes to the top, next man up. If you're not doing that, then what is the point of all of this? And if they want to stay legitimate, if John Jones doesn't get a contract with Stipe Miocic sometime for the next, let's say, 6 to 8 months, I got no reason to follow you anymore.
The only reason why I could see why they legitimately will put it off would be to build it up to the degree where they could get more pay-per-view buys, because this is the fight. Right now, this is the fight that especially heavyweight fans for the UFC want to see. You want to see this fight. So do you give it to the fans right away, or do you let it build up? Do you let bad blood build up a little bit more? Do you let the press, these guys go to the press and start saying stuff, which is what Stipe is doing right now, to build it up to get more pay-per-view buys? I don't know. All I know is you can't be patient with John Jones because he'll do something to screw it up. Let's jump to the AEW. I know there's no "the" in there, but I just did it anyway because I'm old and that's what old people do. They put "the" in front of stuff.
It's you Buckeye fans.
No. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's ingrained from birth. I don't know if you knew this, Rob. I don't know if you were aware of this, but Saturday and Sunday at South Carolina Comic-Con at the Greenville Convention Center, you can meet Hangman Adam Page.
The Millennial Cowboy.
You can also meet
Cowboy Boat.
The current AEW Women's Champion, Jamie Hayter.
Drink the Haterade.
And why wouldn't you want to do that? So you should come out and meet them and get a picture taken and get an autograph and all that kind of stuff, because it's really cool. Saturday and Sunday. Check it out.
Yeah.
You can buy tickets online at sccomiccon.com.
Gonna be great.
Speaking of AEW, the Blackpool Combat Club is getting criticism all over the place, including, legends of wrestling talking about too much blood and they're too violent. Is it possible to be too violent in wrestling?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever seen what is it? There's a company that runs shows over in Atlanta that I got a buddy who goes to very frequently.
GC, whatever,
something like that.
The death matches.
That's where Nick Cage comes from, right?
The death matches.
And I have seen stuff.
I don't think it's Nick Cage.
Oh no, it's not. What's his name?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I know who you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about.
Although if Nick Cage is doing those kind of, it wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
Yes, there are wrestling matches that go dramatically over the top that even I'm like, nope, too much for me. Too much for me. I don't think AEW has come anywhere close to that.
Did you see Don Callis' head?
No.
You should. You should
Did it get busted
oh,
open?
you should. This was a week ago. They showed it last night on Dynamite. There's a gash in his forehead, like, I don't know, like 3 inches, and they like pulled it where you could see. I didn't want to see inside of it. I don't know why you're doing that in a promo to show the bad blood between the BCC and the Elite. I don't need to see all that. Yeah. I chalked it up to Don falling wrong. I don't know, but it looked bad. It really did.
Listen, as I've mentioned before, I'm an AEW guy because it is professional wrestling up to a more mature audience, right? I don't need, and again, like, I don't need to go to wrestling shows where it's kid-friendly from start to finish. I don't. I'm a grown-up, right? Just like we've got American Dad and Family Guy to give cartoons to an adult audience. It's okay for some wrestling to be adult themed. And that is part of the reason why AEW will likely never have the ratings that WWE does, because half the audience that watches WWE, which are kids, and a quarter, which are parents who watch because they have kids, likely aren't going to find a lot of what they do appropriate, but it entertains me. And if sometimes some blood hits the mat, some blood hits the mat. It's a dangerous sport just like anything else.
One last thing as we go to break. Who does Roman fight in the meantime while Cody's going through his hard times?
I genuinely don't know the answer. Who do you throw at him? Damian Priest, maybe? Dame's been hot. Finn, maybe Finn wants to. I just don't think you can have Finn take another loss like that. I don't know. That's actually a really good question that I don't think any of us have thought about. Or does Roman just take a 6-month hiatus until SummerSlam?
He barely wrestles already, so why not?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break. When we come back, Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Just look up Don Callis. I bet that's the first thing that comes up. By the way, Kevin, I'm not ignoring you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you have the Dirt Vision app. And also, I hope your tomatoes grow well. There was a video package last night while Kenny was talking, and it was like, oh.
Callis struck his head while going down after being hit by Mox and was legitimately busted open. Oh, he's jacked up good, son.
I told you. They
jacked up real good.
They did this thing where they pulled it apart a little bit. It's like, don't do that.
I saw it. He's jacked up real good.
Meanwhile, it's been over a month now since the Giants placed the $10.1 million tag on running back Saquon Barkley. And according to Kim Jones of Newsday, it's a tag that the 26-year-old running back has no intention of signing. Barkley is looking for a long-term deal and is not expected to participate in any Giants offseason team activities. Packers running back Aaron Jones, on the other hand, isn't upset about reducing his salary from $16 to $11 million for the 2023 season. Jones told reporters, quote, "I didn't want to be greedy. I want to help the team and help them get as many guys in here as we can."
It wasn't bad. I think, James, I think Sting is finally going away, which I don't want him to go away. He's my favorite wrestler of all time, but I don't want him to wrestle anymore because he's too old. He's gonna get hurt. But I loved the fact that it made it seem like there was some finality to it because him throwing out Ric Flair's name and a bunch of stuff like that, which Ric Flair's already responded. You should check it out on Twitter. It's pretty cool. And he had pom-poms. So, I mean, you know. Yes, it was, Kevin. Don't spoil because Rob will get around to it eventually. It was excellent, especially Grogu. And there's no way he'll avoid that. Agreed. Cody is mentioned by both right now.
Should be. Why wouldn't he be?
Oh, he was.
I don't think.
He
either
was
company needs to
mentioned
pretend
big
the other
time.
Doesn't exist.
He was mentioned big time in the promo between Sting and MJF.
I think it's a mistake to pretend like the other company doesn't exist.
Especially when one of the guys helped build where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think there was any. I mean, the percentages were not on your side that you could do it 3 days in a row.
It's under the table, but today it's turned like long ways, so there's even less room for the landing zone.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all matter?
I think the true question is, can he wield a lightsaber with that eventually? Then we're in business. Look at that. This show's over already. Seemed like it just started a few minutes ago with Rob being angry. It would have to be very grievous, like when he does it, but still, it would be pretty cool. Maybe it'll happen in the final episode. That's probably still too soon. All right, time for Twitter trending topic where I tell Rob what it's trending and he tells us why. And yeah, I messed it up, but I went with it. That's what you got to do. Being a radio professional, award-winning radio professional, I might add. There's some sad stuff. Let's just go with the weird stuff. Drake Bell is trending right now.
Yeah. So former Nickelodeon star Drake Bell has been labeled as missing. I saw that earlier this morning. He has been labeled missing, and if I recall correctly, is being considered endangered. I don't know what the hell that's. I don't know who Drake Bell is. I just know he's like a former Nick star in some super popular show.
Drake and Josh was really good. I think he started out on the Amanda Show, and then he also was a voice of Spider-Man in one of the animated series.
Fair enough.
If you're of that age, you definitely know who he is. I think you're on the older end of that, so you probably just missed him. The next thing that's trending is Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, so Jamie Foxx's daughter yesterday, I believe, put up a social media post that said that Jamie Foxx had a medical emergency that incapacitated him temporarily, but that there was some quick medical response and he is already on the road to recovery. We don't know anything else, but Jamie Foxx, I mean, young guy, younger guy in shape. That's
I don't think he's as young as you think.
That's scary, man. I mean, yeah, but
I think he might be older than you.
Oh, he's definitely older than me.
Yeah, he's got to be.
Not old. He's 55.
Yeah,
like he's not
yeah.
ancient.
All right, so he's older than me.
Yeah, but let's be real. He's in better shape than both of us.
So, well, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to act like he's not. All right, the next thing that's trending is Laura Bailey.
Really? What's my homie trending for? Love Laura. She's great.
Laura Bailey is trending because she's got a new video game coming out called Stray Gods. It's a musical game.
Really?
I mean, it's like from what I understand, from what I read, it's like everybody like sings in the game.
Okay.
Type thing. And on Twitter, they've just got her like in a nightgown singing somewhere.
I love Laura.
Something
So
that-
Laura Bailey, for those of you that don't know, is a voice actor. If you've ever played a video game with a female protagonist, it was either her or Ashley Johnson that were the voice of your favorite female protagonist, more than likely. Big fan. She's super phenomenally talented. I have loved a lot of what she's done so far, and I'm excited to see more of it.
All right. And finally, the last thing that's trending is Clemson.
Spring games coming up this weekend for the Gamecocks and the Tigers. And on tomorrow's edition of the Rob Brown Show, what a perfect out for us, I will give you my 5 things to look for in both of those spring games as they roll on Saturday. So make sure you're here tomorrow when we break down what I want to see and what we might see out of the spring games.
So them Tigers are trending because Dabo done said he's gonna play in the ones against the ones. It ain't gonna be all them mixed up things going to be into number 1 versus number 1, and we're gonna see who's gonna be the man this year. Go Tigers! Woo!
There you have it. That's it. That's the breakdown. Y'all have a lovely rest of your day. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Bryce on.
Got me a third time. By the time I get used to it, it'll be over. So.
All right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. You are fantastical people. We will see you all back here tomorrow to do it all over again. Have a lovely Thursday. See you at the Swamp Rabbits game. Good night. Goodbye.